Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Spotlight, brought to you by the Georgetown NAACP branch number 5520. We have an exciting lineup of what's happening in our community today, upcoming events, and also what's going on in our county institutions, in particular in the Georgetown County School District. We have some folks on. Recently, there was an article in the Post and Courier that we wanted to talk about, in particular with the school district. I'm going to bring on our special guest and our co-host. And then joining me today is our education chair, Miss Ebony Hughes, and third vice president. Hey, Ebony.
Good morning, Miss Marilyn. How are you?
I'm fine. I have to remember all your titles. I had to remember mine too.
I'm about to say you have a long list of too.
Well, we just stick to the NAACP on this show. So good to see you this morning. I know we're both busy, but it's always good to get together on Spotlight. Our next co-host is Deontay Winchester, first vice president and youth advisor of the Georgetown branch number 5520 NAACP. Deontay, good morning.
He's having a little difficulty.
A little technical difficulty. So he's like 3 seconds behind us. So we'll talk slow. Good morning, Deontay. But Deontay is with us as always, and we'll get the show rolling. And next we have our president, Mr. Marvin Neal. Marvin, good morning. How are you? Very good.
I am dandy.
Very good. I'm
not behind. I'm not slow. So.
All right. Very good. And of course, let's go ahead and jump right into it because our special guest is here with us for a short period of time. We want to welcome Mrs. Leona Joy Bonds. Leona, good to have you with us today.
Thanks for inviting me.
All right. So we have just a little bit of feedback, but I know that'll work itself out, and I think it has. So we'll just go ahead and jump into it. Leona, there was a recent newspaper article that you were quoted in, and it was regarding Georgetown County School District and the racial disparities. We would love to hear from you about what your opinion, what's going on in the article. Can you share with us your concerns regarding Georgetown County School District?
Well, necessarily, the article for me was more of a personal take on my experience as a student versus a teacher. It is always our hopes that all students have representation and feel comfortable with who's educating them. But when I did the interview, it was definitely more of just my personal experiences as a student at Choppy and Browns Ferry, who had all Black students all the time. And then I have to transfer because my mom moved. And so here I am in the class who I now am experiencing a classroom situation with non-Black students, which was actually really hard for me. As an adult, I kind of looked back on it and realized maybe that was my struggle. I definitely went from being a honor student to really struggling with grades. I excelled at Choppy Middle and Browns Ferry, always on the honor roll, always doing good things. I got to JB Beck and absolutely struggled. Got to Georgetown High, absolutely struggled. And I had to get myself in check. And having a great mom who just kind of had to be there to remind me that, girl, you are definitely just as smart as everybody else. It was almost awkward being in a classroom with people who were students who were non-Black. The article had a slight mistake in it. I actually had white teachers as my first white teacher was in third grade at Browns Ferry. So I think she might have just misunderstood what I was saying on that. But definitely a culture shock per se, and even struggling to handle sounding different with my Geechee accent, my Gullah accent versus people who did not sound like me. So that was definitely a struggle as well. And then I got to college, and of course I went to Claflin, so I went back to being in an all Black space per se. Claflin had some white students, but it was no more than 10 at that time. and still struggling with the Gullah Geechee accent. And as soon as I said something, people are like, "Oh, where are you from? Oh, I know you must be from Charleston." I'm like, "No, I'm from Georgetown." And so then I had to, I mean, I literally worked and worked and worked trying to make sure that my sounds and things that come out of my mouth were not as guttural or perceived as something that was inferior. Of course, now I know better, but that was definitely a mental struggle for me.
I can definitely relate to that. Almost being made to feel like your dialect or your accent, your language, your culture was something negative, you know,
right.
making you uneducated. I've been there.
Yep.
So it's amazing. It's almost really like we speak another language, because when we're around each other, it turns on, and when we go back out into our professional,
it's like, oh, let me turn it off. Let me get that. Yep. Almost a code switcher, but yes. And in terms of the school district, I saw some good points in the article that the school district stated that they actually attend recruitment fairs at the HBCUs here. So I don't necessarily know the discrepancy lies where the effort is made, but yet we still don't have a strong representation of minority teachers. I don't. That's above my pay grade.
So I think going back to the language part of it, Gala is a language. I think we've learned more appreciation for it as an adult, but also because it is being recognized as a language. Gala is being taught at Harvard now, and the history of the culture. So that's something I think does come into play. Leona, you gave a very good example. And people who don't truly understand and appreciate it, and for historical reasons, after the Civil War, it was considered, bad English. Now it truly is recognized as a separate language, and our children and we appreciate the fact that we're bilingual. We're bilingual, and the school district needs to adjust to that fact. And it is something to be proud of. With that said, Leon, I have a question. From your personal experience, and I guess now professional, because you are an educator, what suggestions would you have, a couple of suggestions, to maybe help close that gap or improve the situation?
I think they need to continue with the concerted effort of attending those HBCU fairs, possibly offering sign-on bonuses to especially younger minority teachers. You could also possibly create some type of hub of some type of group or something that would encourage young people to be here. That's another issue. Our younger kids or our younger students are leaving and not coming back. But I think that's a scope beyond the school district. That's the all-encompassing scope. We must provide a lively space, a lively community for our younger people to return to want to come back. Because it's not like we don't have the talent. We have the talent. We have the people, the younger kids that go into education. They teach in other school districts, but then there are things for them to do almost, versus when people say there's nothing here to do. While I slightly think that there are some things to do here, we just don't take advantage of some of them. But anyway, we got to provide that environment for our younger people to come back to want to be here. And that's more than just the school district. That's local governments, community organizations, etc. We have to set that tone.
But you probably didn't realize that when you came on this morning that you not going to just talk about this article, but you were going to delve into economic development, quality of life issues, and amenities, because that's what it's about. Our children, they get educated, but we need to look at the jobs. We need to look at affordable housing, and that's a whole nother conversation.
Yes,
but
ma'am.
all of this is a great example that you brought that up. That shows the interconnectedness between all of these issues that face our community. We have Deontay and Marvin with us also. I know Ebony's already jumped in, but Deontay and Marvin, do you have anything to share with us or any questions regarding the article regarding diversity?
Well, I would say firstly, you, Miss Bonds, and I believe it was Miss Dees as well. Thank you for having the courage to actually stand up and say something about this issue and bring light to it. Um, to the district, you know, there are many issues as it relates to diversity and inclusion, and it's not just with educators. It's with administration as well. You know, when it's and you all mentioned this as well in the article. When a student can't see themselves in the leaders around them, you know, it makes it difficult for them to see leadership potential in themselves. So I think that's certainly something that we need to look into. And I mean, I'm going to just be frank. The war is over. The Confederacy lost. So leaders in Georgetown, and especially right there in that district, need to just go ahead and get over it. We ain't going nowhere. We built this country and we gonna stay here. So all of this good old boy system and all of this stuff that we have going on in Georgetown County needs to cease. And hopefully with a lot of what's coming to light with the former superintendent and some of these federal cases that are now being made public, things will change. I'm hopeful that things will change, but it shouldn't have to come to that. If you're qualified to do this job and you are the most qualified for that position and for that promotion, you should get it. Point blank, period. It shouldn't be your cousin that get it. It shouldn't be someone else that you like better that gets it. It shouldn't be someone who has the complexion for the protection that gets it. The best qualified candidate should get it, no matter what they look like. And Georgetown County School District needs to realize that, and they need to change with today's times, because the demographic of the U.S. is changing, and the administration, the staff, and the faculty here in Georgetown County School District needs to reflect the demographic of the community.
Very good. Marvin, you look like you want to say something.
Yeah, first I'd like to say good morning to my cousin, Mom. And Vanessa is my cousin also. So, you know, I'm glad both of them spoke out. Bonds is well renowned and stuff in her work with the school district. But one thing I like to say, Ms. Bonds, based on what you're talking about, culture should be a part of the historical landmark in the study, in these students' studies in the school district. So we have met with the superintendent in reference to historical studies within the school district just 2 weeks ago, and we are looking at that. So you definitely, we'd be reaching back out to you, you know, to play a major part in that. But you brought up some key points there. You know, it's the culture shock, but we should not be shocked within Georgetown County School District. Now, students should not be shocked because they live here. They live here. So there must be a process that orientate those teachers that comes into our community. In our community, our language should not have to change. They need to adjust to our language. And that's what we need to start getting back to. You know, like Deontay said, the Civil War's over. And the Gullah came from all the different African tribes that just found the means to communicate. That's where it came from. You know, you had 15, 20 different languages coming out of Africa, you know, the people that have been enslaved because of the attitude of racist people. So the language should not change. We need to adapt to our language and also study other languages that's a part of this country we call the United States of America. So you brought up some key points, and I always enjoy your conversation with you and your husband, you know, because I tell you, it's a historical family, you know, that you're living and that you work with and stuff. So we thank you so much. And color and nepotism must go away in order for us to get diversity, equity, and inclusion in Georgetown County. School district, county government, all. Nepotism and color must change. And we have to make sure that happens, you know, as continuing to fight for what is right and not just what is popular and traditional attitudes of people that's continuing to serve in these positions. So thank you for your time, and God bless you.
I also want to say thank you, and I know she has some things she wants to bring up about Palmetto Giving Day, but I want to say thank you also for telling your personal story, because we have to have these type of conversations. So as a community, we start educating each other about these subject matters, because a lot of us um, we either don't have the time or our space does not allow us to gain this knowledge. So when we have folks in these articles out here, we need to do exactly what we're doing today. Take these articles and bring it to a broader audience so our community can get more knowledge, so they can demand a better curriculum that reflects the community. So they can demand more, the closure, excuse me, of the racial gap when it comes to teachers and students. So this is part of that process. So Leona, thank you for coming on board and sharing that information with us. And there's talk out there, but this is just one more brick in the foundation of heading towards change that is desperately needed in Georgetown, South Carolina. I know Leona and Deontay have to go, but before they go, they got some announcements and everything. But Leona, we'll start with you because this is for Palmetto Giving Day that's
It's for
coming up.
Palmetto
Can you tell
Giving
us more
Day.
about that?
Yes,
Yes.
Palmetto Giving Day is next week. I think it's May 5th, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm encouraging everybody to support your local or your favorite organization. Me personally, I'm going to support Miss Ruby's Kids, Freedom Readers, the One Yard Auditorium, and definitely OPS, Optimism, with Miss Denise. And then I also want to make sure everybody is encouraged to vote in the city elections. I am not sure if I can actually say names on your show, but I definitely know that there's a candidate who's a young man who we talk about. We want our young kids to return. Here's one that is returning and ready to work. So please support these people and please make sure that you vote. Okay?
I know
Very
what you
good.
Hey, we
Listen, we
agree.
need the top three. The top three need to go to November, and in November you need to vote for the top
Right.
three.
So
So
please
make
sure this
sure
young
your
man is in
pick,
the top 3.
yeah, you make sure
Please.
your pick is in that top three. All right,
Please.
and that they can work together and get things
That's
done.
right. That's
Yeah,
right.
and they all bring strengths to the table, but you all got to vote to make sure your pick gets in that top three. So thank you for bringing that to everyone's
That's
attention.
right.
Also, Deontay, I know you got some. Miss Ruby's Kids is going to get a big shout out this morning because we got 2 big supporters of Miss Ruby's Kids. Deontay, what else about Palmetto Giving Day we need to know?
Yes, definitely support Miss Ruby's Kids. Leona and I both sit on the board for Miss Ruby's Kids. Also, big shout out to Toddlands Community Hospice. Organizations like that do a lot of education and provide a lot of information as it regards to the need and the benefits of using hospice. And that's certainly something that we need to look into more in our community, because all issues related to end of life seem to be taboo in the Black community, but the fact of the matter is everybody is going to die. So that's something we can talk about later. But definitely support Toddlands Community Hospice, and as well as the NAACP Youth Council. As you know, I am the advisor to that organization. We will be starting a campaign for scholarship funds here in the near future. But if you would like to give to the campaign for graduating seniors, you can do so by going to Cash App at GTNAACPYOUTH. So $GTNAACP Youth. Appreciate it. And y'all have a good day.
You too.
Thank you, Deontay. Always good to have you. We'll see you in a few hours.
All right.
Thank you, Deontay. I'll see you in little trouble later on.
All right, Joe.
All right. Thanks, Deontay.
Hey, Marilyn, I also want to
Yes.
make sure that everybody knows about Palmetto Giving Day. It is actually May 4th through the 5th. So you have 2 days to give to those organizations starting on the 4th. So
Hey,
Yep.
Marlon, you
Yes.
have some folks in backstage I think you might be aware of.
Well, backstage is cleared out. I actually did contact that special guest to tell him to hop on.
Well, he's still texting me. John Lewis Day of Action.
Yeah, we could go ahead and start talking about that. And if he comes on, because I sent him the link again. So
Okay.
y'all see how we do this. We just talking about the logistics of the show and everything. I know Ebony created a flyer. I do have an Ebony, so let's go ahead and jump right into that. And when he comes on, we'll get him rolling and everything. But coming up Saturday, May 8th, is a very important event. It is the John Lewis Voter Advancement Day of Action. And this is a national event, but Georgetown is a number of organizations are working together to bring this national event to Georgetown with a votercade and an event at Ben Cooper Park, because we want you to, one, get registered to vote, and that also impacts the upcoming June 8th primary, but also we need you to support the John Lewis Voter Act, the law that they're trying to restore the Voting Rights Act. So I'm gonna put the flyer up, and Ebony, if you could just give us some information regarding the flyers and how do people get involved?
Well, here's the really cool thing about this event. It is going to be, of course, on May the 8th from 2 to 4. And it's 100. Hopefully we can get 100 cars or 100 trucks. And it's we're gonna start over at Howard and end up at the Ben Cooper Park. What's really special about this is that 100 cities nationwide were chosen. So there will be 100 cities doing this very same votercade all at the same time. So we're pretty fortunate in that Georgetown, was #1 in the state of South Carolina for voter participation at 78%. And that's all through efforts through many organizations. And we want to continue that momentum straight on into this. So if you would like to get your car or participate, whether it's yourself individually as a civic leader or faith-based leader or organization, you can contact Donald Gilliard, who's going to be coming on here in a second, and register your organization. There's going to be media coverage out there. So at some point or another, you can get some shout outs, as well as there's going to be food and music. It's going to be a whole big community event. Please come on out and support this event. It's sponsored by the Georgetown NAACP, Gullah Geechee Chamber, Howard Alumni, the Omega Sci-Fis, and Sweet Gilliard Productions. So like you were saying, Miss Marilyn, it is so important because this is also to bring awareness, not only to show up and vote, but for the Voting Rights Advancement Act that we've seen it, how really this voter suppression is crazy. And that's something we can talk about all day here, but I believe
here comes Donald now, and I do want to share the screen because we do need to talk about that a little bit, because what is happening with these voter suppression bills, what is happening with these bills that are being passed on the state level to criminalize protests, and that's a First Amendment question.
Yes.
This is why it's important that we support the John Lewis Voter Advancement Act, because this will protect our voting rights and it will protect our freedom of speech. Donald Gilliard is joining us, and Donald is the organizer of the John Lewis Advancement Voter Day of Action here in Georgetown. Donald, welcome. We were just talking about the event and what's going on with it, but if you could give us some more details of what's happening so we can encourage folks to get involved and get them out on May 8th.
Well, thank you. But I don't know if I'm the organizer. I think we all are the organizers. I think the NAACP is going to carry the big legs of this because we need a kind of a robust organization who can mobilize people. But this is a successful votercade that they have instituted in the state of Georgia as well, and started back a few years ago. And it's a presidential style motorcade, so we'll have a police escort, and all of it is to drum up media support and for us to be able to register voters. That's the whole key of it. And they're doing it in 100 cities in America. And fortunately, Georgetown is one of those cities. So we really need everybody to sign up, to participate. All you do is put your card. The cars will leave from the Howard Center on next Saturday and end up at Ben Cooper Park, where we'll have music and food, and we'll have voter registration tables set up to register voters. And this is what we have to do. We have to register voters, and hopefully we can mimic what Georgia has done. Y'all saw what Georgia has done. Georgia changed the nation. Without those activists in Georgia registering those voters, we don't have a Democratic Senate, period. So, so voter registration is the heart of Stacey Abrams' program. And so we just hope that we could mobilize it here in Georgetown.
I'm glad you brought that up, Donna, because you hear many people who are saying we can do what they've done in Georgia. And not only is it voter registration, but it's events such as this. It's education about the voting rights bill, but it's also GOTV. So once you register, you got to get knowledge about the issues and policies. And this is an issue in policy, restoring the Voting Rights Act. And then you got to get out and vote. And that's a whole infrastructure in and of itself. The NAACP, we have that infrastructure along with other organizations. Political parties have that infrastructure, and we work together with these organizations and other organizations because NAACP is nonpartisan, so we'll work with to get out the vote. But this is another part of that. Not only is it registering to vote, it's about learning about the policies. Go ahead.
Absolutely. And Marilyn, and this votercade is nonpartisan as well. We're encouraging everybody to register to vote, and white, black, doesn't matter. It's nonpartisan. And that's why candidates cannot do any campaigning at this event. They'll be able to speak and encourage people to register to vote, but they can't do any political campaigning. We won't have any political signs at this event. It's nonpartisan, so we're in line with all of the organizations and their requirements and that sort of thing. But the John Lewis Voting Rights Act is HR 4, and we want the people to realize that it's HR 4. And also, HR 51 is addressing the filibuster, and we've got to address the filibuster. I don't know if you all have already discussed that today, but
we have not.
Okay, well, they are changing voting laws all over the nation because what they did in Georgia. Okay. And they're making it really difficult for people to vote. You can't even, they made it illegal in some states where you can't even give somebody a bottle of water if it's hot and they're in line to vote. You can't even give them a bottle of water. This is really draconian stuff.
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
If for anybody that's sitting out there and wondering, hey, why is that harsh? Number one, those type of laws affect people mostly that are in rural and underserved areas. It affects mostly the Black areas and the poor white areas because they understand that in those areas, people normally have to wait longer in line typically.
Yeah.
And that's crazy to not be able to be offered water. That's
so they've already created laws, or they have not implemented policy to make it easier to vote. They're actually creating the long lines.
Yes.
And once you get in the long lines, they're passing bills that say we're going to punish you for the long lines that we created because they don't have enough voting locations, etc. So this is systemic. This actually is a very good example of systemic discrimination, systemic racism. It is a systemic problem. But to fight the systemic problem, you have to work the system. And Georgia is a good example. Arizona is a good example of people. It took years, but they worked the system. You're going to pass a law, we're going to work based on that law and get our vote out. And that's what they did. So what we're seeing now is the pushback to people who did the right thing.
Yeah.
This is what,
Right.
and this is very serious, folks. This is a constant battle. Let's just be honest up front, folks, that they're going to come up with something again if we succeed. But that's what you got to stay in the battle. And the more people in the battle, the better for all of us, because we all know that we get tired at times.
You know,
Yeah.
So we need to take some rest. Go ahead, Marvin.
what we also have to look at, Georgia did great in the election, but we were a country that came together also for Georgia. Just in Georgetown here alone, we pushed out between Club 142, the NAACP, and the other organizations, fraternities and sororities and stuff. We pushed out, consistently to Georgia and stuff, phone banking and everything else.
Absolutely.
So, we have to be collectively moving together and stuff. And Georgetown is definitely a model for South Carolina, because we was #1 in the state that voted the highest ever in the state, 78%. So if we really want to follow Georgia, a lot of South Carolina might want to reach back to Georgetown and say, what have you guys done this time? It's called knocking on doors and boots on the ground and stuff, and continuously to fight. And there's another thing that he hit on to right here in Georgetown. We were challenged by our own voters' election office, just trying to get 2 more Saturdays to vote. Recently in the legislative delegation meeting, they were fighting, just trying to block an individual from getting on the election commission because he's a Democrat. So we all identify with by some means, but it tells you the level that politicians have went now to block an individual from getting on the election commission, because they're afraid of what might come with it is policies in Georgetown that will change the landscape. In Georgetown could be 90% the next election. Because one thing about changing policies for voting, when policy change for voting rights in favor of easier ways to vote, it favors people of color and minorities. So that's what we have to continue to fight for, because it's only right. It's only right. And that's what John Lewis was about. Let's make it right. 1965 Civil Rights Act was about making voting equal across the board. Making it right. You have a right to vote. And Black people still today don't have a true right to vote. It's an act.
Yeah.
It's not a law. So that's what May 11th is about. It's about making sure that act becomes a law. We're trying to push this thing through. May 11th is the day. May 8th is the press conference. But May 11th across the nation, even the Senate and House, that is the day. So let's not lose sight of that. So call your legislator, call your delegation, call your Congress, call your House of Representatives, and make sure that they understand that they have to get serious about what's going on, and they have to make the phone calls to the Tom Rice, Tim Scott, Lindsey Graham. These people have to be called and make sure they understand the importance and put the pressure on them, because the landscape is changing.
Yeah.
But
that's very true. Absolutely. Go ahead, Ebony.
But it's so weird, because this is really remnants and reflective of the past administration. We're still dealing with the damage that Donald Trump has done, because during the last election, it was about voter fraud. So they're hollering about changing all these laws because of voter fraud. There was no voter fraud. We already know that. Courts around the United States have proven that. But the thing is, they are not trying to fight voter fraud. They are trying to fight voter turnout. And why wouldn't you?
That's right.
That's so crazy. So people, please support Mr. Gilliard. How can people support not only the votercade, how can they support the passage of this act?
Well, Marvin just gave us the blueprint in terms of what we have to do. Even though I know Tim Scott and Lindsey Graham and Tom Rice is not going to support it, the John Lewis voting right, I can kind of bet you on that, Marvin. But still, We just need one or two, and we need to do away with the filibuster. That's why I gave you the 54. Because once we get rid of the filibuster, it will be able to pass even without Republican support. And the voting, I want to bring it back here, close to our hometown here in Georgetown, in terms of where we live. We had an election recently, and I don't know if you all studied the numbers in that election.
Very much.
But the numbers were startling. It was a special election, and in the predominantly white precincts, they voted over 40% in a special election. I venture to say, Marilyn, you're in politics. Everybody I call all over the state have never heard of that. In a special election, voting over 40%. So them folks serious over there, okay? I mean, they're coming. And I think that goes back to some other things. But so this votercade is coming at the right time for our community here in Georgetown and in South Carolina and in the nation. And I'm hoping that we could use this as a catalyst to refocus our community and the importance of voting. So we need everybody. Now we got co-sponsors, the Delta Sigma Theta sororities, Omega Psi Phi, Gullah Geechee Chamber of Commerce, the Howard Alumni Association, and of course the NAACP. And any other organization who wants to join us, we need all the help that we can get. Next Saturday, we want cars lined up at the Howard Center. All you got to do, you'll be a police escort in front, one in the back. We'll have the big John Lewis banner. We'll get to the park. We'll have food, music, voting registration table. But, let's show them that we're serious. And, of course, we'll have a heavy media. And the media is important. When they come, we can't let them see we got 10 cars and let them go back and report that. Well, they had the John Lewis votercade, but they had about 10 cars showed up. We can't do that. So we have to have a sense of pride in doing this. John Lewis fought and bled for us in that good trouble. So let's get into some good trouble, and let's make next Saturday, our time to really engage and make it a personal sacrifice. And it's not even a sacrifice, an obligation. That's what it is. Voting is an obligation. It's something we need to do. Yes.
But one more thing we need to also, let's not forget that the largest entity in our community is the churches. If we could reach out, if 32 churches could send one person.
Yes.
If 32 churches could bring their pastor or associate pastor to represent, just AME churches. If 46 Baptist churches and non-denomination, you have 100 cards right there. So
absolutely.
So we should have at least 200 cards in this motorcade.
Absolutely.
And pastors, whoever's listening to us today, and this not just inside Georgetown. If you want to come from outside Georgetown to support the effort, hey, it's all worth it. We got to join hands anyhow. Let's make sure that everyone that's listening to this show today, you approach your pastor tomorrow or today and say, we need you there, and we need to be there. That's important. And we need to contact our pastors that sit on the show here and say, hey, we need representation. Marvin Neal need to contact his pastor. Say, I need you there.
Yeah.
One of us need to do that. To NAACP, we're going to have representatives. We're going to looking for every committee to have a card in that show. That's 20 committee. That's 20 cards. So,
yes,
and that's the way we have to look at it. The sororities is huge. We have to do this because when we do this, everything changes the landscape of voting and for minority and the importance of getting things in our community. So let's show our face because we the strongest voice in the nation. Minority.
So Donald,
Yes.
Donald, thank you for coming on for talking about the event on May 8th. I just want everybody to know and remind you that I posted the NAACP in the comments, the link to register for the votercade so you can stay in touch with the most recent information. It gives you the details of the day of the event. We posted the flyer. And then also, if you want to know more about the John Lewis Voter Advancement Bills, to restore the Voting Rights Act, we also posted a link to that information. Y'all, knowledge is key. Get educated. The day of the event, you will get more information on how to call your United States representatives, how to call your United States senators, and what to say to let them know we need to restore the Voting Rights Act. And put a stop to the filibuster, and also put a stop on the state level to these voter suppression bills that they're passing, and also these bills to prevent us from protesting. So we please click on those links and get more information. Donald, thank you for joining us.
Thank y'all very much. Let's turn out, Georgetown. Let's turn out.
Maryland.
All right. We'll see you next Saturday.
Let's clarify the timeline. The event is May 11th. Okay.
No. What event? Talking in Congress?
Right.
Okay.
Right. Let's make sure we clarify.
Yes, that event. So our local events, the Votercade, which is part of a national effort, is Saturday, May 8th. Exactly. On Monday, May 11th, May 11th, that's not a Monday, they will bring up the John Lewis Voter Advancement Bills. So they'll bring them back up in the Congress so they can debate them and get them passed. But they need to hear from us, the people. Okay. They need to hear from us, the people. So come on out May 8th.
Okay.
Participate in the Votercade. Get to the event. We'll give you, we'll do a quick teach-in to teach you how to contact your representatives and senators and teach you about the bills. And then on May 11th, we need you to contact your senators and representatives, whether it's by phone, email, text. You will know what to do on May 11th.
Wonderful.
All right.
Thank you guys very much.
We'll see you later.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, we're also going to bring in our next special guest, Miss Jackie Williams, who's also a member of the NAACP, and she's been our lead on the
everything we throw after.
Yeah, that's true too. But we're gonna be specific today, and we got 15 minutes because there's a lot happening, y'all, that we all have to go to. I have to go to Ebony and Marvin. We got stuff happening, so so 15 minutes. We're gonna wrap up with some stuff going on, but first we want to do an update on the Georgetown Liquor situation, the Georgetown Liquor store situation.
Well, let's do something.
Yes, go ahead.
Let's update on the will clinic that's going right now with
oh yeah, let's talk about that first. Jackie's in the door on that too. All right, Jackie, you need to unmute.
All right.
There you go.
Here.
The Will Clinic. Yes, that's the date.
Yes. Good morning. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All righty. Good morning. Yes, the Will Clinic is going on now as we speak. It has been expanded though, which is really, really good news. The attorneys are not only going to just do simple wills on today, but they have expanded it because they have brought down additional team members with them. And as a result of that, if you have a legal issue or a issue that you are not sure needs to be handled by an attorney, you can now go to the office. The Carolina legal team, the attorneys there are Attorney Kenneth Snow and Freddie Woods, which is located at 407 Church Street, right in where the T-Mobile office is. When you turn in, their office is right behind their Suite 1C. And now, today, anyone, whether you need a will or not, if you have a legal issue or think you have something going on that may need to be handled by an attorney, need some advice, You can now go down today and get your questions answered and sit down and speak with some of the top attorneys in this area, absolutely free, no charge.
Cool.
So that is awesome.
That is
That is
awesome.
awesome.
Huge.
Yes.
That is
Yes.
huge. It really is, because so
Yes.
many of us, you know, we need legal help. And so
Oh,
to have this
definitely.
opportunity, and we may not know where to go. We may not
Correct.
be able, we may think we can't afford it, but now today you don't have that excuse. Now you have an opportunity to get some basic legal stuff done. So we encourage everybody to go down. Jackie, did you give the address?
It is 407 Church Street. Right, it's right up from where Pizza Hut is as you're leaving Georgetown, in the T-Mobile, where T-Mobile office is. When you turn in and you go into the parking area, you will see their office sign, Carolina Legal Team, right behind the T-Mobile office. It's Suite 1. You cannot miss it. I was down there this morning, and people were already there waiting to, you know, ask questions, deal with their wills, and some other legal issues that folks needed to have counsel with for an attorney. So that was awesome to go down there at 10 when it started and to see people already there to speak with seasoned attorneys. These attorneys together have over 40 years of experience in their prospective areas of practice. So if you have ever wanted to speak with a lawyer, today is your day. You need to just slip something on, go down there, and they are more than willing to sit down and speak with you, whatever your situation is, and you can get some really, really good counsel, absolutely at no cost.
You know what? I even want to say this because this is like the obvious. They are Black attorneys. They
Yes.
have lots of experience in what they're doing, and sort of relating to back to the teacher gap situation. It is, representation is very important. So please show up.
Correct. And they have had years of experience individually and collectively, and they are amongst the top tier of attorneys in their fields, both in Charlotte, in the North Carolina market, and in the South Carolina market. If you need issues, you know, anything dealing with your estate, they do criminal, major criminal representation. They do medical malpractice, wrongful death, accidental, you know, accidents, DUIs. If you have a issue, you really need to go and see them. The beautiful thing about it is they have such a strong network of attorneys that if it is an area of their expertise where they may not be able to help you, they can definitely give you the resources that you need to get the help and get to the right attorney that you need. And let me say this, Ebony, because what you said is so true. One of the things that I truly love about this practice, this new practice that is located in Georgetown, is the fact that they are not beholding to anyone in the community. So, you know, so they do not have that particular challenge, as you would say, of, you know,
Trust.
they are here for the community. They are here for the community and the people in the community. And I think we all know how sometimes in any area of practice, when you become too close in certain areas of your life, sometimes it can truly hinder or influence what you do on the professional side.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why they, you know, fresh minds, fresh people, fresh objectives, and top in their field. So you really cannot go wrong. It's not going to cost you anything. just go in and sit down and speak with them. They're there, willing, ready to serve, and want to know the community and seriously want to give back. One of the attorneys, Marilyn and I went to school with, so we are very proud of him coming back and opening this office and seeing a need for good, excellent representation in our community and in other community as well.
So you and Marilyn went to school with, so they have plenty of experience then. That's a long time, you know.
Marilyn, I knew where he was going.
I know he was waiting for the moment. I'm glad you brought it up, Jackie, but you know he was waiting for that moment.
I'm not telling no age. I'm just saying that's a lot of experience.
Yes, and I'm glad you brought that up, Marvin. And you need to take advantage of that experience today.
I'm not talking about you, Ebony. That's a lot of years. That's a lot of years. You know.
That's it. Marilyn, it might be a lot of years, but honey, black don't crack.
Ooh.
Boom.
Thank you.
Hush.
I ain't worried about it. But Jackie, that's good to know about the free will clinic. I'm glad Marvin reminded me. That's once again, there's so much going on, and we're working steadily to come out of COVID with the vaccinations push and everything. And this is one of the events, because now we can get out more. If you've had the vaccination, to take advantage of it, y'all go get some legal business straight. You know.
That's it.
Yeah, when you get your business in order, it actually gives you peace of mind, and it actually gives you the freedom to create generational wealth. That's a huge part of it that people don't think about. They think, oh, my family will take care of it. Y'all, let's just be honest. I don't care if you black or white. We're all human beings. And when somebody dies, people get emotional. We get caught up in. When I was 5 years old, remember when you stuck me in the closet and didn't let me out for 2 hours, so you don't belong in the will. Stuff be coming up.
Right.
But do this for your family. And I'm just gonna be blunt. Love your family enough to get a will straight.
That's right.
But we're human. Mm-hmm.
Right. And one of the things that we have seen that is a very interesting dynamic for people, especially when we look at celebrities that have passed. You can take Prince for example. When Prince passed, there was the conversation of a child that he had that nobody seemed to know anything about, or if that was really, his child and what he was entitled to. And some people have children that they had prior to marriage, and if you are trying to navigate all of those waters, it's really good to sit down with an attorney and not leave everything that you have worked so hard for in the hands of a probate court situation because you were not prepared. And even before COVID, nobody knows the day nor the hour. That's the preacher coming out. Nobody knows the day nor the hour when it may be your turn to leave here. So the best thing to do is what Marilyn said and what Ebony's been talking about. Be very proactive. Get your affairs in order so that when you leave here, your family knows exactly how to carry out your wishes. And, and it cuts down on a lot of the confusion and a lot of the infighting. Some folks showed up this morning that already had a will, but they needed to make revisions. They will do that. Some have wills, but it has not been signed and properly notarized. They'll be there to do that. So even if you have one already, but you may need to make an adjustment, or you're not sure about how, it may need to be tweaked because you've added some things. It's like insurance. You get it, you forget about it, you've added $10,000 more stuff and you haven't updated, your insurance. If you've added things to your estate, you need to update your will. So today is the perfect day to do it.
You mentioned a really good point, and it really has nothing to do with the legality. Having a will keeps peace in the family. I have seen so many families busted up and upset and distance from one another and not talking and fighting, all because some folks died and their business was not in order. So
that's it.
Peace of mind.
That's right. That's right. Y'all, another way to die peacefully is you got that will straight.
That's it. That's it.
Look, I'm going, you reminded me, Jackie, because I talked to Kenneth and said, I have my will and I have to get it signed and notarized. Right. So my will is done. I have to get it signed and notarized because I'm leaving everything to my cats. So,
look, I'm an animal lover, and if you need somebody to handle that, I got you. I got you.
Yeah, they're gonna be no. That was a joke, y'all.
They're gonna be good.
Nieces. I don't have kids, but I do have nieces and nephews. I'm gonna leave them a little something.
Yeah.
But it doesn't remind me I need to leave a provision for them kids just in case.
Just in case.
God, I don't want to go too early. I would go long, good long life, but just in case.
Just in case. That's right.
Somebody got to feed.
That's it. And younger, folks, kids, children, young adults, like my daughter's age, in their 30s, they don't really think about that. But if you have children, if you work, if you have insurance, if you have acquired anything that you feel is value that you want to leave to someone, you need to go and have that put in writing. You really need to have that put in writing. A lot of the young folks now are seriously investing in stocks. They are exploring things like their 401k, their retirement, better life insurance, to promote, generational wealth. And you need more than just who you're leaving as a beneficiary on a policy, because based on how that is interpreted on an insurance policy makes all the difference in the world if it goes to the assignees, and the heirs. So, and I've seen that happen with people who have had insurance policies, thought that that policy when they died was going to go to all of the children, but it was not designated specifically that way in the legal verbiage for that to be carried out. Now they had a fight on their hands for the other children to get their fair share of the insurance policy. So these are questions that you seriously need to ask an attorney. And like I said, today is a great day. Today is a great day to really sit down and talk with some attorneys that are very, very well versed, very knowledgeable, and they're waiting for you at the Carolina Legal Team's office on 407 Church Street, right here in Georgetown. It's a beautiful day. It's not raining. We can't use that as an excuse. They're going to be there until this afternoon. It is one of those things that is so important that, you really need to try to make this a priority today to handle your business. And I guarantee you, when you leave there and you know that you have handled your business, you will go through the rest of your day feeling more empowered and like you really did something to put yourself in a better position. Yeah, definitely.
Very good. Thank you, Jackie. And before we get into the update with what's going on with the Georgetown Liquor store, Jackie, I want to remind everyone that this week, May 3rd through the 8th, is the International Gala Film Festival. It's a virtual film festival that you can register for, and you can go to www.tigff and get registered. This is virtual, so you can enjoy these movies from the pleasure of your home, the comfort of your home. And there's some
Wow.
great movies. Smell the Trees, The Hag, Sisters are just some of the movies, along with They Say I'm Your Teacher, which is very timely considering our earlier conversation. Dead Talks and Vessies, as in Denmark, Vessie. So y'all just go ahead. It's
Ooh.
virtual, the International Gala Film Festival. And when we get through COVID, it's going to be in person again in Georgetown. There's a lot going on in Georgetown, folks, that y'all need to be aware of. But right now we're virtual with a couple events that'll be in person. On Friday of next week will be We Network, which will be a hybrid virtual and in-person event. And then there'll be a film at the Black River Cypress Preserve in Andrews that we'll be showing. And we want everybody, it'll be socially distanced, and you'll learn more about it in the media. So keep an eye out for that also. But Jackie,
Yes, ma'am.
update us. What's going on with the Georgetown Liquor Store situation? Update us, and what can we do to help the situation as citizens?
At this particular point, I have not heard, the media outlets have not circled back to say if they were successfully, if they were able to contact Miss Long. I know they reached out to her. They were able to speak with her husband, who declined any comments, but they haven't circled back to say whether or not they have been successful in reaching her to get a comment, or if she's just saying, I don't want to comment. But your silence speaks volumes. So, so that part we know. At this particular point, the objective is to help the community to understand that that there is definitely there is power in their voice, and a bigger power through how they choose to spend and where they choose to spend their money. To be very conscious of where you spend your money, and if it's with a business that has basically told you that past your dollars, we have no need for you, then that's not necessarily a place where you want to put your money. So we need to, we seriously need to rethink that. At this particular point, the news outlets have reached out for further comments to see what are some of the other activities that will be coming up. We are asking anyone that can volunteer to phone bank or still go out door to door, as we're going to do a little more door knocking and phone banking, just to create a greater sense of awareness in the community, to widen the territory here, to create a greater sense of what was said and how impactful it is to the community. So that is where we are. Interestingly enough, though, some of the members of that community, members from that particular area, have been very verbal in trying to find out the information and basically saying, absolutely not. We do not stand behind this statement, and this statement does not represent us. So as much as we still have a lot of work to do, it does show that the effectiveness of the NAACP giving voice, and Citizens of Change giving voice to this, this and other issues like that, to help people understand that, with this in the atmosphere, Georgetown and other communities like it cannot grow and progress as effectively as it needs to, for future generations. So, I know people think, oh, well, it's just freedom of speech, and that's what she said. But the impact is very great. And it hurts both. It hurts no matter what color you are. It hurts all the way around. And nothing good could come of that. So please, you can inbox myself. You can inbox, I'm sure, Miss Ebony, anyone that's on here, if you would like to volunteer for door knocking, to disseminate more information, phone banking, please reach out so we can get you plugged in and ready for, for the next call to action as it relates to this. But it is far from over. I know she wanted to be over, but it is far from over.
It's far from over. And speaking of that, Jackie, we will continue next week because I understand there's another liquor store, another business that you have in Maryville also. So we still,
it's my understanding.
Researching that right across from you, Maryland, well. right where you purchased your
spirit. The only one in Maryville. So they're the same owners.
Yeah, it's right across from Drayton Street there. So we're going to make sure that people understand that, they don't have to spend their money where hate lies, because there's alternative measure. There's alternatives. And, and hate don't have a color. And that really came out after the county council meeting on the other night when we were met with some whites and people of color and stuff that's saying they don't support that. Right there in her community, her neighbors saying they do not support that. So it tells a story about when there are opportunities for blacks. When we are speaking of housing, because that's what brought the hate out of her. When they understood that blacks were and minorities and opportunities for those that looking for homes in the area of $15,000 to $40,000 was about to infiltrate their territory, which they don't own, but they feel as though they have the right to stop something that really, it's called property owners' rights, and the property owners, Thailand Hospital, and the right is to them and that contractor. So which affects their community, but people have to live somewhere. We don't get to choose who we bring into our community versus those that lived here all their lives. Because what they want is a retirement community there that brings their riches from somewhere else to settle here. And you have people here that was living all their life, even with some riches, that can't even get into those other areas. So there's opportunities there.
But can y'all hear me? Sorry, there's a lag or something. Yes. Okay.
You're good, Ebony.
Okay. So actually, I was at the council meeting earlier this week also, had the press conference, went off great. But when I went to the council meeting, hate is just ignorance. Not only was the owner and what she said was ignorant, it's even the logic behind what she said was very ignorant. And I noticed that not only with her, but people that came up to speak about their concerns, and they have a right to speak about their concerns. But time and time again, after one person after another came out to voice their issues, they kept saying, we don't want low income housing. And I'm sitting back quiet, of course, listening to what people are saying. And I'm thinking they are not proposing low income housing. They are proposing affordable housing. That is something completely different. And affordable housing in Georgetown all encompasses school teachers. That fits within their price range. They are not paid. Police, mill workers, those are the type of housing that they're trying to accommodate. And when I used to live in Johnsonville, that was actually a big hindrance in bringing and attracting qualified, really good people to the area, because they did not have affordable housing for people to come into and rent. That's a major problem in Georgetown. So in order for us to attract teachers, which is something that we talked about earlier today in today's show with Joy, they have to live somewhere. So they need to try to suck up, number one, get themselves educated about what the proposed project is really about. And number two, understand exactly why the housing needs to be in Georgetown and stop trying to move it to other places. It needs to be there.
But
and Ebony, you're so correct. Go ahead, Marvin.
Saying that, you know, we talk about getting industries and economics of our community. You know, industry don't follow retired people. It don't follow retired people. So in order to get industries here, you have to have people here that have the ability to work and have some place to go and live. You know, and those that comes with them, they're looking for a place to live also. Industry just don't come 100% for the community. They bring people with them also. So those opportunities need to be available. You know, so she was speaking of the low-lifers, you know, and the affluent community. You know, and I'm trying to figure this thing out here. What made them, you know, affluent? You know, and speaking of ignorance, God in mercy, she is one of the most ignorant person I've seen to write a statement like that. Then try to pull it off thanks to our, you know, the eyes and ears of the civil community that pulled it off of her Facebook. I bet it's not posted anymore. So that is ignorant. When you act before you think, that is not only ignorant, that is just poor management and poor leadership. You should not even be in business. Well,
people don't realize you may have freedom of speech, but that doesn't mean you're free from consequences.
Exactly.
And freedom of speech is limited because you cannot yell fire in a movie theater or any facility, and it's not really a fire. That's actually illegal. All right. So there are consequences, folks, to freedom of speech. And you're right. It comes from ignorance. It comes from ignorance of the law and just ignorance of policy and issues. Because affordable housing cost is based on what can you afford with 30% of your income. That's affordable housing. So if you make 6 figures a year, what is 30% of that will determine the house that you can afford. If you make 5 figures a year, 30% of that will determine the house that you can afford. So when you say affordable housing, that encompasses all income levels. But we know where she was coming from because this is the insidiousness of racism. Because that's what they keep hearing is low income poor, because let's just be honest, they associate Black people with low income and being poor. And that's why she felt very free to say what she said. But guess what now? You are now facing consequences
Black people
of what you said.
She's facing those same Black people. Those same people that they call, I guess they call them slaves. That's another race, I guess. You know, so but that's the ignorance of people. Slave is a new race to them. You know, I don't know who that is, but we weren't slaves. We were born human. They choose to enslave us. So they need to understand the language also. And they really need a lesson from history. Because where they're living right now is off the back of enslaved people. That beautiful place was off the back of enslaved people. The architect was off the back of enslaved people. That tells you how ignorant she is. And none that spoke that night were actually from Georgetown. They showed up. Had one guy spoke that he was thinking about purchasing some land. And he don't want to come here because of what might be over there. Well, you know, take his ass somewhere else. I don't care. Excuse my French, but that's just the way, you know, who cares? You know, but you really don't need, that's the attitude we're dealing with. When people, and Black people, and white people, y'all really need to start standing up against the stupid stuff called hate. Because only one follows that is the devil. And that's the only one to latch on to it. But nobody is afraid of them. Well, no one is afraid of them. You know, it's sad when even the news reporter wanted to punch out another husband and wife at the planning commission meeting because she was throwing him the birdie sign, and he caught her on camera.
Wow.
Yeah, throwing Scott Harper the birdie sign. And Scott addressed her right there in front of his own camera. Isn't that something?
Wow.
Because you know, it's amazing. But it's their right. But there was a consequences when she went and quizzed up under her husband, you know, but it's amazing. Then they met me at the door, you know, when they questioned me about my comment. So I called everybody in the room racist. I didn't call everybody in the room racist, but Georgetown is a racist place. It's based off race and hateful. You know, so it is what it is. If you feel as I'm a racist, call me that. That's fine. I feel you're a racist, I'll call you that. That's your right. You know, but
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 here's
one more thing, Jack. The interesting thing is, at the county council meeting, it was the Miss Martha's house presented right before the comment.
Please
Now,
talk about that. Please.
If we are sitting here listening to these young ladies that was coming out of rehab and trying to get back into a normal society and talking about being able to live on their own again, and followed that was these same comments of hateful people. So what they're telling them, we don't want you out there, which could be their own family members that they're talking to anyhow. So race is not a color, because these were white people that spoke that night, on which I agree totally with their platform. Great job. I mean, great mission, great everything. But hate is not a color. It's just flat out stupidity and ignorance. And that lady, Toy Long, or whatever she is, she's a hateful person. And the community and the world needs to know that. She is a hateful person. Thank you for your time.
People should have been here. That's why you got to show up to these county council meetings and the city council.
Mhm.
It's so much stuff. I'm so glad that I went to that one, because it was just amazing at the oxymoron, you know, and then you start seeing even deeper if you just had been there. We can't even explain it all on this show right here. That's why you got to be there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's why you got to vote. That's why you have to be involved. And everything we've talked about today is interconnected. Cannot disconnect it from the disparities, racial gaps between teachers and students in the school districts, what teachers make, affordable housing, you know, to what someone, a business owner, what they say and how they interact with the community. It is all connected. You cannot disconnect it. And the fact that you need to build generational wealth so you could have a house that you want to own.
Yes.
That's affordable housing, folks. It's all interconnected. And this is why we need to vote and be involved with our communities. You know, I mean, this whole show has been about that. Go ahead, Jackie.
Yeah, that, you know, the thing that is very challenging about what I know I witnessed at the last county council meeting, which was very interesting. The folks that spoke that live in that particular community, Marvin, if you notice, most of them, pretty much all of them, with the exception of maybe one or two, are on the other side of, you're getting ready to reach your lifespan. Yeah. You're not gonna be here much longer. You know, I did not see a lot of young, innovative, progressive people that may live in that community, which speaks volumes. The fact that you know, they want things to stay the same, to remain the same. And it goes back to the point that you made. This town will die if progress is not driven to welcome innovation, technology, the next generations that are coming up, because they will be the ones that will carry on this community, this town. If there is nothing here for them, what is the point of them staying? What is the point of them staying? What's the point of them going off to college? And this is not a color thing. This is black or white. What is the point of them going off to college and coming back here to a dying town? So you can't say you want progress in one breath and then in the other breath say, oh, but we want things to just stay the same, because, you know, a lot of these folks are not going to be here much longer. The ones that spoke. What you said was very interesting. You know, when you talk about the history of the area and enslaved people who built that area, which is the reason why they are there today and basically get to enjoy the fruits of the labor off of the backs of the African Americans that built that area. here's the thing. In your eyes and in my eyes, Maryland's eyes, we see where that is a problem and that's an issue. But in their eyes, it happened just the way it was supposed to happen, because slavery did what it was supposed to do. And that's why it is still such a schism today about African Americans and people of color having equal rights and a fair playing field, because the system was not designed for that. So to try to challenge them or even say, well, you're not enlightened, they are very aware and they are enlightened. It's just that it did what it was supposed to do, which was to cultivate, preserve the area such as that and other plantations for them to have. That's what it's supposed to do. You're supposed to come and do the work, and then we are supposed to enjoy the fruits of your labor. And then you stay on that side of the track, and we're over here. Because in their minds, that's all that we as African Americans and people of color, that's all we're entitled to.
But you know,
that's
Jack,
all we're entitled to. You know, the problem is, the anger is, we have gotten more than what they feel we should have gotten. Because left up to folks in that mindset right there, we would not be able to vote. We would not be able to vote. You know, women would still be far behind in terms of any type of progress. And if there were cotton fields to still be handpicked, that's where we would be. So, you know, trying to tell them their view is wrong, when they feel like, no, this is really how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, because that's traditional thought, but the challenge they have now, when you said that age of those that spoke, the problem they have now, those children are walking in the streets with Black and brown community. That's the problem that they have. That's their problem.
Browning of America is going to happen.
They can't figure out why are my children walking with those people, like they said at the planning commission meeting and the county council meeting. They described us as those people.
Those people.
But those children is walking with those people, and they're having babies with those people. It's going to do what it's supposed to do, and they can't stop that, because they can't explain to their children why they are so hateful.
No.
From any measure.
They can't validate that, you know, which is one of the reasons why you know, a lot of the Republicans on the national level have such a problem with you know, things like the 1619 project. They have a big problem with that.
Except for Tim Scott.
Yeah, they have a big problem with that. They, you know, and because it recontextualizes history, and you know, and they feel like it infringes on what they believe is the history that should be taught and embraced in this country, completely blanketed, you know, in white whatever, you know, absent of people of color that made very significant stride, and to tell the truth about what really happened. And you know, and so my thing to them is, you know, it is going to happen. Whether you like it or not, Georgetown is not going to remain the same.
Nope.
But you have got to decide which side of the fence or the aisle you want to be on. The side that promotes positive progress, or the side that pushes for the obstacles and the hindrances. But either way, it is going to happen. And how it impacts you is determined by what side of the aisle you're going to be on. Because whether you like it or not, African Americans are going to come into the Wedgefield community, whether it's through this project or another one or 5 years from now. You're not going to be able to stop that. But how they come, how it is integrated in that community is going to be determined if you are going to bring to the table a sense of community, cohesiveness, and integration, or if you are going to bring to the table hatred, racism, classism, and to me, that's not that. All I can say is, let me warn you now. You don't want to do that. You do not want to do that because
Jack, but everyone need to find their blackness, okay? Because there's a little in everybody that's called human beings. Everybody need to find their blackness because it's going to come out. The understanding of the connection. It's like those snakes you call a snap snake. You could break them in two and push them on four corners of the earth. And guess what happened? God did that. And they all coming right back together. Same way everybody came right out of Africa. The inbreds they talked about. Mm-hmm. Those are the ones that went to Asia, Europe, that feel as though they needed to multiply, which they did. But that's where inbred came from. There are more inbreds. African Americans are the least of the inbred that she spoke about. And if they understand that, even Webster tells them that. Just Google Webster. Just Google inbred. And it tells them. Asians and Europeans, they're the most inbred people because they try to keep everything within the contents of their culture. So
preservation of wealth.
Hey, preservation of wealth. And that's why they're so damn crazy at times. But that's true. It's too close. My mother said the blood is too close. You can't do that. You can't do that. So I don't understand. See, it tells you that ignorance, people need to really understand what they're putting in writing and putting out to the public before they put it, because it shows the ignorance and the lack of understanding that they have. So I know we got to go, Marilyn. I know you're saying, hey, Marvin, we've been here long enough. Can I say COVID-19? Can I just say COVID-19 vaccine is still going on at Howard?
Yeah, go ahead, because that was my thing. Go ahead while you talk. I'm going to put some stats up. Go ahead.
Okay. 1 to 6 on Thursdays. You could walk in from 1 to 6. Anyone, just walk in and get Pfizer vaccine shots. Also, it's easy to go online now. And the DHEC, every place you look now is walk-in sites. And we have to continue to get vaccinated. We're going to start a campaign here where it's already started. Postcards are coming to your homes with the NAACP. Google numbers on. Just Google us. We'll help you get a vaccine if you can't find it. Those that still need help, give us a call. 843-790-4075. So we can help you get a vaccine, get a shot. Georgetown is leading the state in vaccination. So we have to continue to lead so we can come out of this pandemic and get back as close to normal as possible. Just get a vaccine.
What's the phone number again?
843-790-4075.
All right, cool.
So we're pushing out right at 2,500 postcards. It's on the way within the next month or two here. We're also looking at other means, boots on the ground, door knockers. So if someone come knock on your door, it's just all about, do you want to get vaccinated? And it's safe. And remind your Hispanic and Asian community that it's all right. If we have to help escort them there, let's do that, because they're being, treated like enslaved people now, the way this country is going, and they are the true minority. So let's help them get vaccinated so they can move on safely also, and let's protect each other. That's what it's all about, physically and mentally. Let's help protect each other.
Very true. And as Marvin said, Georgetown County is #1 in the state of South Carolina. And I just wanted to show the doses given in South Carolina, 3.24 million. Fully vaccinated, 1.41 million. That's 27.3%. We're trying to hit 85%, folks. That's the herd immunity that you keep hearing people talk about. So we've got to up this game. Fully vaccinated means you've either had that one shot Johnson and Johnson, or you've had the one shot Pfizer or Moderna, and you need to go back and get your second shot. And y'all don't skip that second shot. Go back and get that second shot. Go back and get that second shot. And I have to say, I did suffer some side effects for about 2 days. It was like a very, very mild flu. I had chills and aches, and I just slept. Between meetings, I slept, and it was like a light switch turned off on that second day. It's like the light switch was turned off, and I was good again. So, and I know they can tell. Marvin knew. I was like, I got to sleep. And so y'all don't be scared.
You got to get up.
It helps the community. Yeah. I mean, it did. I had some side effects, but I knew, because I talked to the doctor. I asked him about it. You have a right to do that. What should I expect? And they said, this is what might happen. And I was prepared. And we need to be smart about this, folks. Get knowledge to get that vaccination, because it helps yourself. I would rather have the vaccine and side effects than COVID. Okay. And it helps your community. It keeps all of us safe. And I posted the phone number 843-790-4075 in comments. Please call that number and we'll help you get scheduled in your appointment. And we'll also, if you need a ride, we'll get you a ride. We'll escort you, as Marvin said, to your appointment and make sure you get back home safely. All right. Anything else we're wrapping up with? We had a lot to talk about today, folks. So I want to thank everybody for joining us and staying with us this long. Jackie, thank you very much. I know we all got to get back. Free Will Clinic.
Thank you.
On Church Street. Marvin, we got a
next.
lot of stuff happening this afternoon. Yeah, I'm about to skedaddle myself. I got to wrap up some stuff before and go to another event. But thank you, everybody, for joining us on Spotlight every Saturday at 11 a.m. We enjoy having you join us and also get information about what's going on in Georgetown and surrounding communities. Y'all stay in touch with us, stay involved, reach out. Let's make this happen. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Marvin.
Thank you, Jackie. I hope we didn't give you too much notice and stuff,
All right, we'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye-bye.